patty. That was my dinner last night, right?
Right.
That took me all of like 12 minutes to throw together, right?
There you go.
Very simple, very simple. I don't eat breakfast a lot. I usually tend to just drink coffee with some collagen and some MCT oil powder in the morning, and then I have my meals. I have 2 meals a day, usually lunch and then a late dinner.
I think we're about there too. So are you practicing somewhat of a intermittent fasting?
It is, I guess, in a sense, but I mean, because of the coffee I have in the morning with the MCT oil powder and the cream and stuff, that does technically break a fast.
Right.
But it's low calorie. So I think when I calculate it out, it's about 250 calories that I have for breakfast every morning, is on average with the cream and the MCT oil and, the collagen and that type of thing. So, that's my breakfast,
So how do you maintain keto for somebody who's listening who has that type of a busy lifestyle or work keeps them on the road? How do you do that part away from home?
Well, you research the menus, right, of the places that you're going to or that you're going to go to. I tend to eat it at BJ's Brewhouse a lot. A staple on keto is Brussels sprouts, right?
Right.
So one of their appetizers is Brussels sprouts. So I usually, when I go there, I order a Brussels sprouts with ranch dressing on the side and a side of grilled chicken breast.
Plus, we can just look at your Instagram profile, and I've seen it on there.
I chop up the chicken, I mix it with the Brussels sprouts, and I make my own creation at the restaurant, right? So you can ask for substitutes. Don't be afraid to ask for substitutes at a restaurant, right?
Right.
Don't be afraid to ask for substitutes. If you don't want any potatoes, ask them to substitute a vegetable. Ask them to substitute some broccoli or some asparagus or zucchini. Stick with the low-carb vegetables, some cauliflower, salads, right? Don't be afraid of salads on keto. Different lettuces have different carb count. Romaine's probably the one of the lower end ones. So, get a Caesar salad with chicken. Get rid of the croutons.
Right.
Order a steak and shrimp. Go to Outback.
Oh, wow.
Steak and shrimp, skip the potato, order double vegetables, have a salad, skip the croutons. So, you just have to just look at the menus and decide what you can sub out and what you want to change. And you can go to any restaurant and find something keto for dinner.
Right. So for you don't find it any different eating out or having to eat it, basically cook at home, but for you, it's the same mentality when you go in.
Right. I'm just going in with the mentality that I'm going to create something. If they don't have it on their menu, I'm going to ask them to make substitutions and have a mindset of what I'm going to have for dinner. If I'm at home, I'm going to have grilled chicken and asparagus and some sauteed mushrooms. I'm going to see if they can saute some mushrooms and give me asparagus instead of a baked potato, and no sauce on the chicken. I'm just going to make those substitutions at the restaurant and have them do it for me rather than me doing it myself at home.
So do you meal prep? Since I know that you're spending so much time away, do you end up having to meal prep?
No, I am not a meal prepper. I'm a spontaneous cooker.
That's great, though.
I'm not one of those folks. I don't like to eat the same thing day after day, meal after meal. So, and a lot of folks who meal prep, that's what they do. They meal prep 5 lunches, 5 dinners. It's the same thing, meal after meal for the week, right?
Right.
And that's not something I'll cook something, I'll have leftovers the next day for one meal, but I like to be creative and I like to just, find my own way around the kitchen and create things.
And that's what I would say to anybody that's like saying that, I don't like keto because it's too boring because it's the same thing. I would say just look at your Instagram, keto cutting board, and look at all the variety. That's the one thing I do notice is you have a lot more featured meal items that you've done cooking yourself that are totally not the same as the meal before or the meal after or a couple of meals before or after. I noticed that you've figured out how to keep that variety. And it's exciting to hear that you do like variety. Because some people think they're just going to be limited to bacon, eggs, burgers.
No, yeah, you have to keep the variety up. It's going to keep you happy, and that's really one of the key things to live in this lifestyle and live in the keto journey is to enjoy yourself, enjoy your food, enjoy what you're making. Like I said, keto lasagna, easy to do, just as delicious as regular lasagna. I made a curry chicken the other night over with cauliflower rice, and don't be afraid to season your food. right? Food doesn't have to be bland, right? It needs to be delicious and flavorful. I know a lot of people just do cauliflower rice. They just shred it and they heat it up in the pan and that's it, right? My cauliflower rice is with chicken broth and salt and pepper and some maybe onion powder, and then I reduce it down and it's full of flavor, right?
Yes, and I know you had featured some spices that you enjoy, but and we've created some new spices. In fact, we've got 2 more coming out this weekend coming out. But what's that brand that the white label?
Savory Select Seasonings. So I met them at KetoCon last year, and had bought a couple items from them. And there's just a couple items that I just really like. I really enjoy their seasonings. I mean, seasonings are everywhere. I have yet to try Rosa's seasonings, so I'm looking forward to buying some of those and trying those out. I saw some of the meat rubs that you have and some of the other things that are there. So
that smoky rub is really, really good.
So I definitely want to try that. I've got some ribs this week that we have to go pick some up and have to make. Yeah.
I was going to say when you do the cooking at home and you make that variety, and you said about flavor is so key and variety is so much in color, because there are foods out there that we can definitely delve into. Now, you might be a natural cook, but for those who are not necessarily natural cooks, where are the sites that inspire you for recipes that you would go to find those type of keto meals that you make?
So definitely Keto Connect. I still look at them. I still check them out once in a while. There's a guy from India, Headbanger's Kitchen, right? Sahil. He does some great meals. So if you go to his Instagram and his website, there's a ton of stuff. I really enjoy watching him on YouTube. So he's one of my favorites.
So you spend most of your time that, as far as if you were somebody who's like, okay, where can I go? You would probably recommend something like a YouTube.
Oh yeah. Go to YouTube. Start looking at folks' videos that they have on there. And people have been doing it for a while now. I mean, people who were keto 4 years ago were the only ones doing keto, and now everyone's on the keto train. But those folks have some solid YouTube channels that they have. So again, Headbanger's Kitchen, Keto Connect, two great ones to go to.
And I'll just add in that before we started Rosa's Keto Treats, we have Faith for Keto Kitchen.com, and that has about almost 200 recipes on there. Some of the recipes had to be taken out because once we started the bakery, we had to. But we did release a cookbook, and some people got those cookbooks ahead of before we even knew we were going to have a bakery. But there's also, when Rose started doing the live cooking, that's kind of what on YouTube, that's what pushed the prompt for people that they were saying, look, I don't want to cook this stuff. I just want to buy it. I want it done for me. And that's where Rosa's Keto Treats evolved into or evolved from.
Yeah, people like convenience. They want stuff that's really easy, right?
Right.
A lot of people don't want to go buy all the ingredients that you need to make a batch of chocolate chip cookies, right? You don't want to go buy the almond flour and the chocolate chips and the sweetener and the baking soda. I mean, you just want to be able to buy one bag, put together with 2 ingredients that you normally have in your fridge, some butter and be
Water,
done with it.
milk.
Right, yeah, and cook it up and be done with it. Yeah, so there's a lot of people out there who just don't like to have all those ingredients on hand that you use. I mean, so yeah, convenience can be a great thing. And so a lot of folks really appreciate what you guys are doing as far as your bakery business and making, life easy for folks. Because a lot of people don't like to bake at all. Baking is a big thing with folks that they really don't like to bake. Now me, I bake, I cook, I'll do anything. But I like to make it easy for folks too. So if you look at my Instagram site, I really like to tend to show you the ingredients of what I'm making. I'll do a story and I'll show you what the ingredients are, and then I'll walk through putting it together. That way you guys have an idea, because it's really not that hard at the end of the day. And people who don't like to cook a lot, you can do simple things, right? Take a chicken breast, salt and pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, put it in a medium heat pan, 6 minutes on each side, throw some asparagus in the air fryer, or you can throw it in a separate pan and just saute it up real quick, and you have dinner, right?
Well, that's a good point. Okay, because we're in the holiday season, and we're in the Cyber Week, Cyber Monday sales week, et cetera, et cetera. Air fryers, definitely one of those things. If you're on keto, you should have an air fryer. I mean, I think the air fryer is like, it's in that top, when they'll do those shows on CNN, the 90s, the 2000s, they'll talk about the keto years in the...
Everyone will talk about air fryers.
Air fryers.
Air fryers. So for those of you who don't know, I'm in the food industry. So I'm always dealing with food brokers and food manufacturers and food vendors, which actually adds another layer of challenge when I'm out there, because there's always these food shows and there's samplings, and I get sent a lot of product samples from vendors and manufacturers that I tend to send off to my friends and say, here, you guys try this and let me know what it's like. I got a case of King Henry's snacks in my garage right now, with sugar worms and gummy bears, and that's just sitting there. I'm like, Jesus, they send me all this stuff. So right now, being in the food industry, I deal with a lot of kitchen equipment, and so air fryers are basically a convection oven, right? They hit the temperature of an oven. You can set the temperature. What you don't want to do with an air fryer, and I see a lot of people doing it on Instagram, is putting some foil down on the bottom because they don't want to clean the pan. You need to have that pan free and have the holes there so the air can circulate to cook the food the right way, so you don't have to flip it. But it's just a convection oven, and it works perfect for me because I tend to just cook for myself and maybe my sister. There's only 2 of us. I think if you have a family of 4, then you're working with your oven is going to be your mainstay all the time. And a lot of ovens nowadays are air fryers, convection ovens. They've always been convection ovens. There's always been convection ovens, but now they're calling them air fryer ovens. If you catch that, but yeah, air fryers are basically a convection, but they're handy. They're easy to use. They're quick. They're low maintenance.
And then just pop in. Even if you don't have the space, you can always just put it away and pull it back out when you need it.
Yep.
So do you use an Instapot as well, or?
No, I don't have an Instapot. I do not. I have my Martha Stewart Dutch oven pot that I use for everything. Any soups that I make, that's any sauteing. If I'm braising, that pot right there is my mainstay in the kitchen.
Good deal.
I used to bake bread in that pot, and used to make a fantastic crusty bread in that pot.
Well, I saw you made a really good bagel. The Asiago, was it Asiago jalapeno?
Yeah. So the ones that I make, I tended to use more protein powder than almond flour in mine. So there's less cheese in them, so they're not as dense, and they're less calorie. I mean, my goal is to cut back on the calories and the carbs that are in the bagels that I made. So that's the reason I use the protein powder. So that protein powder, flavorless, comes in really handy.
Now, do you worry about your level of protein? How do you kind of balance that, or do you get that pretty much figured out?
No, I've pretty much got it figured out. It's moderate protein for me. It's not at all huge amounts. I'm still get my fats in that are the majority. So I'm still at 20% protein, 5% carbs, and the rest fat. So that works out for me really well.
Well, you know what? I want to say, if anybody hasn't been on your Instagram, definitely go there, because
thank you.
The food choices and the options, or just the ideas, and especially I like is when you are getting a product that you find. I thought, how does David know where all these products come from? Is he just researching keto? Who's new, trying to make something hit the shelf somewhere? Because it's not like Las Vegas. We're not like Texas, where everything that's in a store, on every shelf in the store, is a keto possible, possibly keto item.
It's just reading the labels. Go shopping, read the labels. You find something that fits the carb count that you want, and you think it's going to be keto friendly. Try it out, and if it works for you, it works for you. And that's really where I find the majority of my products, or other people's Instagrams, where they say, "Hey, I tried this, and I'll give it a try." But yeah, usually I don't have any affiliates with anyone. So anything that I